Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Inferno Cast. I am Fox from Inferno Fox Gaming, and the Inferno Cast, of course, a family and friends and you podcast about video games. And this is episode 74. And opening this up right to a question for the audience, Deadpool or Deathstroke? But before we get into the big topic, the big kit and caboodle here, I want to thank a special guest for joining us here. This is Mr. The Mad Belmont that you can find right here on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or more, again, that is The Mad Belmont on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you for having me on, my friend. It's great to be back here, and I got a couple of things on our main topic that I think are going to be pretty interesting to y'all.
Awesome. Definitely looking forward to getting into that. Before we jump into that, again, just a quick shout out to make sure to check out Simbu Darkfang on his Sunday evening streaming at 7 p.m. Central of WWE 2K24 at the Scurry Face channel on Twitch. That again is the Scurry Face channel on Twitch. So make sure that you check that out, that you subscribe, you do what you do, friends and fellows, on that Scurry Face Twitch channel. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into our main topic. And this is, it could kind of be a spooky one, kind of not. This is really cool because another great topic suggestion by Simbu. We're talking urban legends, real life urban legends about video games. And this is more than just, oh, is this the Konami code? Because the Konami code is a real thing. What about the things, the legends that got passed on from friend to friend on playgrounds growing up, schoolyards, in like grammar school, and little tucked away parts of the interwebs? Like what could it be that are these urban legends? I'm going to go ahead and start us off here with a fun urban legend. This was something that my older brother, excuse me, had talked about, and there were a ton of them because before he before he divested himself of video games, chasing the ever elusive girl, he was really into the arcade scene, and specifically with the Mortal Kombat series. And Mortal Kombat in the arcades was not for wanting of urban legends. Like, I remember hearing in the first Mortal Kombat something about the one stage where it has all the statues of all the combatants. You have to defeat the enemy in the middle circle and not get out of it. And if you do, you would then unlock Goro as a playable character. But one of the ones that I'm going to go with for Mortal Kombat 1, Ermac. Ermac from the first Mortal Kombat. It's one of the more famous ones because he originated from an audit listing. It's like an audit menu from like a debug thing whenever Mortal Kombat would like boot up, or if you got in its BIOS menu, and it says Ermacs, ERMACS, which is a short for error macros. And the fans have speculated it was a hidden character like Reptile. And of course, the rumors became so widespread that Midway had eventually turned Ermac into a real character in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Speaking of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, with how much I love Mortal Kombat, I stupidly didn't make the realization about Rain from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, because Rain is purple. Purple Rain, the Prince song. I never put two and two until Jamie Owls pointed that out to me, I think like 5 or 10 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, purple, yeah, Rain's purple. Purple Rain. And I'm like, yeah, and Jamie Owls is like, the Prince song. I'm like, that's a song? And Jamie Owls is like, can we get divorced?
That was last year.
Oh,
Last year.
give me a little
I
credit
support
now.
this
It was it
decision.
was it was a bit further away than that. And yeah, but yeah, that's bad. But I want to have our wonderful guest Matt hit us with his first urban legend.
Okay, so this is one that was passed around me and my friends because we all followed sports, and there's one video game in particular that is centered around the biggest sport here in the US, which is football, Madden. And in particular, this legend is called the Madden curse.
Oh, yes.
Now, what this curse is ever since 2000, when Madden started featuring cover athletes on the game, because before then, it was just John Madden. But then in 2000, they started featuring cover athletes. Ever since then, especially in the early days, there was a 50-50 chance that if your team had a player that was in the top of the league and got on that cover, there was a 50-50 chance that he was either going to have a horrible season from a stat standpoint, or he was going to get injured, or both.
Oh, man.
And this happened a lot in the early days. One of the most famous examples, Dante Culpepper for the Minnesota Vikings. He was on the cover of Madden 02. That year, he was one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the NFC. The next season, after his cover season, he fell off a cliff and he basically got injured. I think he suffered like a back injury, if I'm not mistaken, and he was out for the rest of the season. And then he just was never heard from on that same level again afterwards.
Yeah, and what was, I'm trying to remember what the NFL player was that broke the curse, because that was a real thing. It was like for a good spread of like 10 plus years or something.
Yeah. It was, if I remember correctly, it was either Adrian Peterson, probably either him or Calvin Johnson. No, it was Calvin Johnson. It was Calvin Johnson because Peyton Hillis was fan voted onto the cover of Madden 12, but the same year, the next year, he again fell off a cliff. I think he got injured, suffered like an ankle injury or something like that. And then Calvin Johnson got on in Madden 13. He broke the curse.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to say, if it was Adrian Peterson, I would feel bad, because I mean, he probably had his son cut him a switch. Only two people will get that joke.
See, the last I heard of the Madden curse up until the rebring up this year was 2023, and up until that point, 16 out of the 22 featured athletes on the cover of Madden had either shortened seasons, piss poor seasons, or some sort of injury, or some sort of like
it was
real world thing. It was
ridiculous. It got to the point to where people were literally begging EA not to put one of their favorite players on their favorite team, me included, on the cover, because I didn't want to see any of my guys get injured. I'm a Bears fan, so
we can't afford any of that. We already had bad enough time as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Bears don't need injuries to be bad.
Yep.
Gosh. Simbu, how about you? What is one of your first urban legends?
So I'm gonna go. We it's no secret. Horror games and Simbu Darkfang go hand in hand. I'm going to take Diablo's secret cow level. The original Diablo. This is not Diablo 2. Okay, this is not any remake or remaster of Diablo. This is the original game that was released. It was prophesized and rumored that when you got to Tristram, if you went and clicked on a certain specific cow X amount of times, that you would immediately unlock the secret cow level. Obviously not real. However, this is one of those urban legends that is an exception to the rule, because it became so popular that in Diablo 2, they actually put in a secret cow level in the game.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, that's too funny. And the PC ones, some of these PC urban legends are really, really good. That's a good one. I've heard of that, but dang. Um, Astrimedes. How about you? What kind of urban legend are you gonna hit us with?
I've seen one. I admittedly, so I haven't played this, but there is a map file for Doom 2, so a WAD. People familiar with Doom map making will know. Uh, Created by guy Steve Nelson. I'd kind of seen it referenced multiple times. It's a Doom level where there's a lot of influences from things like House of Leaves and sort of internet creepypasta stuff. What's kind of interesting about it is the way it was presented to the internet was where he kind of like posted on Doom on some kind of Doom development forums. I forget the exact name of the forums, but some Doom forums throughout development about how it was going. And then I'll read kind of a good summary from the Wikipedia about the this journal about the supposed development of this map. So there's 31 entries, and the author tells of a Doom map they found belonging to their friend. They then decide to finish the map in honor of their friend. As they continue to work on the house, they experience nightmares. It's called My House. .wad is the name you'll see this thing under. They experience nightmares and strange events, such as new material appearing in the map, despite no recollection of doing such work. The author continues to experience insomnia, progressively more surreal and impossible dreams as they work on the map. In one, they recall being able to pass through a mirror and seeing their reflection wink at them. They grow paranoid, and the map consumes the author's life, causing them to work on the project for days on end. One of the final entries, they one of the final entries they write about a final dream they have of a fake beach. At the end of the journal, the author believes the map has become a sentient entity. This is what he starts to call it in the posts. And he says things start to change on the map without his interaction. So supposedly at the upshot of these posts are, he says, okay, so I'm going to post the clean standalone version that doesn't have these sentient effects, to the forum. And then, of course, people found, all these things in it that were kind of reflecting what he said. But he does a lot of, so there's a lot of references specifically to stuff like the back rooms. Like if you teleport outside of the map, using cheats in a way you shouldn't be able to, you'll get sent to this part of the map that operates like the back rooms. If people aren't familiar, it's this kind of like internet lore concept of these sort of like liminal spaces where ultimately there's some giant unfathomable monster kind of chasing you through it. And you can if you try to like open the level file and like jump to a different part that you shouldn't be able to go to, he uses similar effects. If people are familiar with the book House of Leaves, like the big concept is that like it's a house where on the inside it's so much bigger than it appears to be on the outside, and there's all this nonsensical, non-Euclidean kind of spatial stuff going around. And I guess there's even a few direct references to House of Leaves in it, like he uses the realtor's name in like a sign, a realty sign that shows up is a reference to the main character from House of Leaves. But I just thought it was pretty neat. I like the kind of like lore building attempt and then making the game, kind of reflected for real. There's a lot of, full blown games that try to use this kind of like strategy now, like Daniel Mullins stuff in general, the guy who made Inscription and what's the other one? Pony Island.
Oh yeah, Pony
Kind of
Island.
uses sort of stuff like that. But I just thought this was pretty neat, totally free thing a guy just made. I've seen it referenced like multiple times, and this was a fun opportunity to kind of get a little deeper into researching it.
No, that's cool. It's a real. I don't know a lot of Doom, creepypasta or urban legends, honestly, because and I loved the OG Doom and of course Doom 2 and everything. That's a good one. It's funny I hadn't heard of that one. Ew. It's kind of creepy. It's a little bit of an unhinged looking design on the level, although the my house thing, I'm a little bit creeped out because the aesthetics of the inside of the house look like the inside of my house that I designed when I did my own Doom mods back when I was a teenager. So what does that say about me? Ugh.
Will say
Um,
the only thing Doom related that I could say for legends and stuff is the sign where it says when you get to hell, the billboards when you get to hell, and then it says that's a Chick-fil-A one under there says tell them the cows sent you. So they have the Doom guy having the demons up there. It says the cows send their regards.
nah, that's funny. Uh, um, Storm, want to check with you. What kind of urban legends shall you regale us with?
This first one is from a game from 1997 called Outlaws. So it was a first-person shooter. There is a particular level, if you jump down through a toilet, you would end up swimming in a tunnel, and eventually you find yourself in an underground cavern with a flying saucer in it. And this urban legend happens to be true. I did watch the video when I looked this stuff up. But if I can find the video now to send over to chat, I can't. But I did watch it on my phone, so maybe I'll send it to you all later. But it was kind of interesting, and watching a game from 1997. I've never heard of this game, but looking up urban legends for video games brought me to this little tidbit. So all you have to do is jump through the toilet, and you'll find yourself swimming in a tunnel. And eventually you'll find the aliens.
I wonder if that's where Fork Knife got the inspiration to have the outhouses literally tunnel you through to other places.
You know, that is a good. I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Either that or
Maybe.
Futurama, because it kind of reminds you of that too.
They're using the flu powder or whatever for Harry Potter.
Yep.
That's what I thought of too, but forgot about the Fortnite toilets, so I wonder.
It makes me think a lot of the guys with Epic, they do like their Easter eggs, and I could see them adding and taking inspiration from some classic games like that. Um, Jason the 13th, how about you? What kind of urban legends will you regale us with?
So I heard of this one a while back from my nephew. And I always thought like, oh, people are pulling his leg and stuff. So while doing research for this, I found out it's actually true urban legend for Minecraft. So every time we were playing and we'd start new worlds and stuff, and we'd come across little formations that looked like crosses in the world, my nephew would tell me, it's a bad luck. This like map is bad. We needed to kill this one and get a new one. I'm like, that is so full of crap because all you have to do is break a couple blocks and you don't have that cross anymore. But while looking it up, there apparently is an urban legend where if you came across a quote unquote cursed cross, that it would. But now, where my nephew, every time we found something that looked like it, like up on the surface and everything, yeah, so anything like that looked like it. But the urban legend says that they had to be down in the deep caves there or abandoned structures. But yep, it's supposed to, if you found these crosses, it would be bad luck in your game, glitches would happen, and all these different things would happen. It would be like a cursed map if you found crosses in Minecraft. And I always thought that he was just like, oh, you're just a silly thing that the kids are talking about because he was all big into Minecraft, still is. But yeah, I didn't realize it was a real urban legend until looking stuff up for this. So it was definitely fun to find out that one my nephew taught me was actually a real urban legend for the game.
Wow, it's interesting. Maybe that's another Easter egg sort of design where the RNGesus whenever it gives you new maps, it maybe there's like a 1% chance or something like that. It gives you a set of these crosses, uh, or like some sort of check or something that, oh hey, we're gonna add this in, or we're not.
Yep. But
When you
it's
say it's a true urban legend, is it like they show up and one map has a bunch of instances of them,
I
or
now I don't know, but like looking up urban legend stuff, it
yeah,
is actually under a lot of the Minecraft urban legends
yeah,
about the
yeah.
cross being in the game and being oh, that's an unlucky spawn. I don't know if it was just like based off of one world that had that, or if just
It seems to me it's got to be just, you look at the way Minecraft works, that's a shape that can happen.
yep,
And people
exactly.
assigned a lot of significance to it. It does look creepy though, like those, screens we were looking at look kind of compelling, like it felt intentional or something. But I mean, it's
I
what,
mean,
4 or 5 high, this many wide, whatever.
Yep.
You really
I was gonna say,
But
who doesn't see an upside down cross and get like maybe the heebie-jeebies from it, you know?
and I'm
Yeah,
sure
seriously.
yep, I'm sure one or two kids saw it and like all started the whole thing like about the crosses being unlucky in the game. So and
it's a
it
fun
took
one.
off. Yep.
That's it. That is a good one. Um, Hardicus, how about you? What sort of urban legend you got for us?
All right, well, I have one that's very near and dear to my heart, and I know that Jamie Owls will be super interested in this one as well because it deals with one of her favorite uh, game series. So, Tomb Raider, and I remember this back in the day when the original one came out, that there was a lot of suggestive lines in the game, like when she exits the pool, she says like, "Oh, now I better take off these wet clothes" and things like that. So I remember, and I heard this one firsthand, that there was a nude code making it Nude Raider, that you could make her um, triangular tits naked, essentially. So I won't get into the code because it's a long thing, but like it just there was supposed this long sequence of codes you had to put in, and it ended up being total BS, but. In typical gamer fashion, someone made a mod for it eventually, though.
Of course.
Every time I tried to share it too, like it keeps bumping me. It keeps
Yeah.
booting me out.
So,
Hmm.
on a little side note from that, this is a little thing that I saw the other day, and this is um I saw this on the Angry Joe show. So there's also a game called Smurf Rescue in Gargamel's Castle that it was confirmed after 20 or 30 years, whatever it is, since it came out in the 80s, that you can in fact get Smurfettes dress off in the game through a complicated thing of two roller controllers and some, hijinks. So if you ever want to see 2 pixels of white turn to blue, go ahead and look that up.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there will be people out there that want to see it.
Why am I not surprised Hardicus started off this way? Why am I just not surprised?
Well, that's something
Well, I
new I
mean,
learned.
Hey, when the questions for this week were sent to me, it said, I think it was like ones that were personal to you, and I'm sorry, but boobs.
Okay, hold on. See, we need to take a second here because based off of our 69th episode and how Astrimedes talked on that one, did anyone notice that he went off camera as Hardicus was talking about the 2 pixels of white turned to blue? I'm not, trying to start a conspiracy here, but I'm not saying, but I'm saying it's aliens.
You're
I was
not saying,
getting
but you're
this.
saying.
He was banging on the door, and I had to get him.
Kitty.
Use the cat as
It's
the
my
excuse.
cat for the
We
listeners.
get it. We get it. Use the cat as the excuse.
Oh, it's too funny. Now I feel bad, Hardicus, because I think you might have taken one of Jamie Owl's.
Uh-oh.
Jamie Owls, do you have another urban legend that you would like to share?
Yeah, it's okay because I just quickly did a Google search and there's actually one that popped up that I'm surprised that no one mentioned. And part it's not really for a particular game, but for the listeners out there, back in the old days, we had like the cartridge, and one of the things that you used to do if something's not working is that you blow on it. And it actually turns out that
that
doesn't work. It does not work. It does nothing. You're just blowing your germs all over the metal part, and you're making it worse.
Yep. And you're potentially rusting the pins.
It did nothing. So that's like the rumor, an urban legend, that if you blow in it, it works. It does.
But people supposedly said too about that one. I've heard that like your spittle getting in there, while it may be long-term rusting the thing, it's improving the contacts temporarily at least. That's the BS justification I've heard about that.
I don't know. It worked quite a few times for me.
I say
I definitely did it.
Rule of 3.
I think we all did.
Oh yeah, I've definitely done it.
Yeah, third time you did the back and forth, it worked. So that urban legend is
Simbu,
real.
where did you go? Like you had your hand in your face and you disappeared. Did you just pull a John Cena on us? Okay, I know, terrible joke.
I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he did.
I am. Did you not know I'm John Cena's long lost brother? 50 Cena. Or should I say, have you seen her?
Have you seen her? Oh, there you go. Have you seen her? Jamie Owls, I've heard that the actual thing, besides the spittle possibly doing the contact, it's really just putting the cart back in is the actual thing that would really help. And any of the newest of the new NES ones, and when I say newest of the new, the ones that were made 32 years ago, where it was the top loader where you just put it right in, rarely, if ever, had issues reading the cartridges, and were honestly some of the best made NESs, and now they're the most rarest, and would make it totally made blowing on the cartridges totally obsolete. So there you go.
Interesting.
Little bit of useless trivia.
So you're telling me all those blowjobs were nothing?
No, they helped. They helped me, Hardicus. Thank you. I did end up playing Ninja Gaiden much better afterwards, but didn't help the game actually load. But I did. It did.
Oh, there was a load, all right.
Let me for me, my next and I guess my last urban legend. I'm gonna stick with fighting games because I'm going to talk about Smash Brothers. And yes, listeners, Super Smash Brothers is a fighting game. And for those listening, Astrimedes has panned to his very adorable.
Oh my God, look at that kitty.
He's distracting everyone.
Vying
He's really
for
hamming
everybody's
it up
attention.
right now.
So the Smash Brothers related one, and there's a ton. There's apparently a ton of Smash Brothers related urban legends. The one that I'm going to talk about is unlocking Sonic and Tails in Super Smash Brothers Melee. And to do it, you got to defeat 20 opponents in Cruel Melee mode. And this, of course, was a hoax generated by EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, and they were notorious for this. They were the ones that showed Simon Belmont in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, NES edition, with a very convincing sprite. And you could think that that'd be a thing since, Konami made both the Castlevania and the NES TMNT games. But the screenshot that they showed was pretty convincing, except for the fact that, EGM has a history of this and they released it on April 1st. Just to, got to touch base. Didn't stop me from actually getting 20 KOs with Roy on Cruel Smash, and that was a very painful time. Yeah, nothing happened. But I learned a thing or two. It was worth the few hours on a boring Saturday afternoon to do it. So that's interesting. That's fun.
And what you learned is, most importantly, there is a 3 to 5 day window around one specific day of the year that you don't trust a damn thing anyone says.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
and that day is fast approaching. Because we're in February right now, so we got a little over a month until that 3 to 5 day window hits.
Yeah, it's coming.
And
Although I don't know that it's. I wonder if how crazy the gaming industry is if people have an appetite for satire stuff like that anymore.
I
That's
have no idea, honestly. And
I mean,
also, I have to echo what Fox was saying earlier about Smash being a fighting game. It is. It's at Evo. It's a fighting game.
yep. Although
I
I
would
don't know if it
say
was in the latest Evo. I don't know if it was a part of that. I know it has been, but like maybe since Sony bought them out, I don't know if Nintendo's actually been a participant, but they have been for many years. Um, Mad, hit us with your second urban legend.
This is one I actually, back in the day in preschool, heard about. And this one has to do with Super Mario 64 from 1996. And I had heard through the grapevine of a couple gaming buddies of mine in preschool that if you get all 120 stars in the game and you go up to the roof of the castle, you can meet Yoshi. And it took me forever to do it because I was only 3 years old. No, I would have been five. I would have been 5 years old at that time, and it took me forever to do it. Trust me, it took me forever to do it. And I also had to help my older brothers, so it was less of a pain because of that. But I finally did it, and I went up to the roof. No Yoshi. No Yoshi to be found anywhere. And Super Mario 64 is a game that has a ton of myths surrounding it, from Luigi somehow being in the game to that one I just mentioned, and there's so many others. But I had to mention that one because that was one that I actually heard on the playground and tried to do it, but nothing, to no avail.
Yeah, it's weird because Yoshi is he really is there on the roof when you get 120 stars. So that's really strange that he decided to be a no-show. Yeah, I can't explain that to you, Matt. I'm sorry. That's strange.
I
Um,
also tried to do the Luigi one too, and that one didn't bear any fruit of any sort. So yeah.
the myth that proliferated the most for us was Luigi and Mario 64, and how to get him is to take the waterfall in or the lava fall in the volcano in lava lands. I think it's a hot step lava or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I forget the name of
bounce,
that area, but I know what you're talking
yep,
about.
you got to bounce up to the lava fall to be able to because he's at the top. He's at the top of the thing. And because if you pan around and you're at the highest point of the thing, the top of the waterfall looks weird, but that's just the clipping of the top of the
Yeah.
area that is showing that. Man, oh Mario 64. That's a good one, man. Um Now, Simbu, I think, has a good urban legend for us. What do you think, Simbu?
well, I don't know. I mean, I could go with the Guardians from Halo. I could go with, let's see, I could go with the Twisted Metal one. But you know what? Out of everything I'm going to go with, I had not heard of this before, but I do know that these urban legends do exist, this type of urban legend. And no, for those of you who are out there going, it's Kill Switch, it's Kill Switch. No, it is not the game that deletes itself. This this one is called it's the Legend of Pale Luna. Now, it's a very bizarre one because before the days of streaming and internet and things like that, devs used to have floppy disks, and you would have to pass them off the disks off to each other to work on the games and create the games. And Jason the 13th would do this without floppy disk, then he would come to me and pass me the disk. I would add some stuff to it, and then I would pass it off to Astrimedes, and so on and so forth would keep on going. Now, One, this game is called Pale Luna. Now, it never went outside the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'll go ahead and I'll read this here out for you real quickly. So you're not going to see me look at the screen because I got to look over at my computer here at the moment. But the story goes that Pale Luna is a text-based video game with a few words on screen at the start of the game. The player must get the correct word combinations in order to proceed. Many players attempted the game but gave up because of its difficulty. However, one player named Michael Nevins was determined to see it through to the end. After several hours, thank you, Fox. After several hours of trying, he got the correct combination, was able to unlock one stage after the other until all was left were coordinates in the form of latitude and longitudes. Now, seeing as how the game could not progress beyond this point, Nevins decided to check out the coordinates. The next day, he went out with a map, compass, and a shovel. He navigated the park trails in the area until he got to the exact coordinates he got from the game. When he started digging, he unearthed a badly decomposing head of a blonde-haired girl named Karen Paulson. The remainder of the body of Karen Paulson was never found, and the developer of Pale Luna was also never seen. As weird as this sounds, again, it is a urban legend, and realistically, I kind of agree. Maybe the person that came up with this needs to just get a real job.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That almost borders on a little bit of creepypasta because it's got that creep factor and the fact that it's based in that's what I love about these urban legends, man. I just, some of them are funny, but then some of these are just like, man, that's
right. And it's one of those things where, if a guy or a gal, somebody could write, come up with something like this. This is almost like something you would see in like short horror fiction. So like I would almost think, hey, maybe get this person who actually, the people that come up with these things, get them on design teams and storyboarding teams for horror games, because let's be honest, something like this with the right reworking could turn into a full-fledged 8-hour horror experience.
Yeah. 100%.
Nice.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there that, like, I would argue right now you're seeing stuff like SCP. Like, how many games have used, stuff from, SCP, these kind of like internet, kind of open for anyone to use. Like the Backrooms is the same thing. Like I mentioned the Backrooms in myhouse.wad, whatever. But again, like another kind of like concept that just grew up on the internet. It's kind of just there for the taking for any dev that wants to use it, because there is no copyright on it. It's just a bunch of stories people were throwing around on the internet.
Or my video game idea from our Myths and Legends cast. Who knows? Somebody may see it and run with that idea.
Maybe. And by doing so, they've cursed themselves to appear on the Madden box and thus injure themselves and screw over their favorite teams. Jerks. Astrimedes, I know you got a good one for your second urban legend. Go ahead and hit us.
Yeah, this is another one that seen referenced on the internet multiple times, and I guess it's shown, though I haven't actually seen it show up in kind of popular media, supposedly referenced a few times, or I guess referenced a few times other kind of media. But it was so the story goes, in 1981 in Portland, Oregon, some new arcade game came out that kids were going crazy for. They were playing the game, they were variously getting sick, becoming addicted to the game, getting in fights while they were waiting in lines that went around the block to play the game and all that. And other stories start going around about this game, supposedly, where these kind of men in black guys would come around on a regular basis and collect data out of the machines. And the story goes that this game was essentially a like psychoactive experiment by the government, where they were measuring the effects of these things that the game was doing on players. So when these men in black were coming around, what they're really doing was collecting the data that these arcade machines were harvesting. There's there, I think there were, I've seen references to, I think, other people kind of extending bits and pieces of the story to, I don't know how supernatural we want to get, whatever, but it's what's kind of fun about this one is that, like, it's the kind of thing where based on stuff we know about, like MK Ultra and whatever, it's like, oh, is it so far-fetched the government really would do something like that? But, also there's no verified record of any of this stuff. The only thing we have really of people that purported to have direct experience with it were, stuff on the internet, essentially sort of unverifiable. There have been a bunch of attempts to kind of explain a bunch of the individual pieces of this. Like supposedly there was a popular Laserdisc game that would often had problems that had pretty ahead of its time kind of visuals, that in 1981 it caused a lot of like repairs where the system's down, guys had to come in and service it. One of the theories is that like this was combined with another story about two different incidents on like the same day or close to the same day in 1981, where some guy played like Asteroids for 28 hours and got sick and go to the hospital, and then there was some other similar kind of like self-inflicted video game wound sort of story. And like one of the theories put forth by somebody is that like these events in such close proximity could have been combined to kind of like create this Polybius type story. So it's, theoretically or, supposedly these are the stories around this one. I personally don't think it's real, but I think it's a fun story. And there have been a ton of, as Fox was showing briefly on the video here, there have been a lot of people have kind of reconstructed or supposedly found, the ROM of it or whatever. So it's another thing that has a lot of potential to, with that story, you could build what you wanted around it, as long as it felt, psychoactive, essentially.
Yeah, and Polybius is one of those, like what Fox showed us was like the original version of the urban legend. Now, over the decades since its inception, it has morphed to, it is, as you brought up the backrooms earlier, it is now a backrooms sort of like maze game, where the players, if you lose, you get sucked into it and you have to have your friend put in a quarter in to play the game to like save everybody. And it's one of those legends that transcends time. Almost, it keeps being reinvented, almost like, well, the Slender Man, how it keeps coming back and coming back, and there's new things. Like now there's Slender Man and Siren Head, and I don't know, whatever. My daughter could probably go off on like 13 of them that are now out there, but it's all based off of Slender Man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all this kind of like interesting category of like internet horror, like a really specific sort of subgenre of weird YouTube horror I've looked into recently is like analog horror. And there's a lot of crossover there where like analog horror is the concept of like kind of use grainy video and like old looking stuff to kind of make it creepier, attach a realistic story. I feel like we've seen this whole sort of specific very modern internet age feeling type of urban legend emerge, and like the terms like creepy pasta I think kind of like describe it well. You see stuff like liminal spaces now is like a big thing the last couple years that seems to be featuring heavily in a lot of this kind of internet lore.
Interesting. Yeah, looking at the Japanese side, I was wondering if, because arcades are super big and they've been that way for the longest time in Japan, but I haven't seen too much beyond just general like haunted arcade stuff like that. So I don't know if there's a Japanese equivalent to that. Would really like to know, would like to be interested on this. So if anybody is listening, let us know in the comment section here on YouTube. Otherwise, yeah. Storm, you got a second urban legend for us?
I do. Yes. Thanks to Simbu for sending me this one because I had to Google some urban legends because I don't know very many, but he sent me this one and I didn't know. But they're back in Animal Crossing New Leaf. It was rumored that there was this villager, a purple bulldog called Brutus. And Brutus, if he moved into your village, would start speaking in binary code and would crash your GameCube at the time if you talked to him or, did certain actions with Brutus. But Brutus does not exist. He has never existed in any form of Animal Crossing, and it was just a rumor that someone had started a long time ago when New Leaf came out. So there is no purple bulldog named Brutus that will speak to you in binary. So
Can we write Nintendo to add a purple bulldog named Brutus to the next Animal Crossing and get people to freak out over it?
that would be funny.
No.
That would
That
be
would
funny.
be so funny.
See, my thing is with that one is again, when you think urban legends and you think about people, about lies or things like that, there is some sort of modicum of truth in each one. So my question with that one is, I'm wondering if maybe the disc had a small scratch in it, like a hairline
And screwed
scratch,
something up for
and
someone.
it messed up a villager on that person's game. So when that villager showed up, it looked glitchy,
Or is
the
it
coloring was wrong.
and to that end, is it something like how Pokemon with missing number one? Like,
Missing no, yes,
because that's
the 99 glitch.
yeah, because that's a real thing, because that's a real glitch, but it became a whole urban legend. Was Brutus like that for an individual cart, or I guess disc if it was the GameCube, or well, no, or cart if it was the Nintendo 64 Japan only one? That's a good question. Speaking about Pokemon, Jason, did I bury the lead and hit your urban legend? Or
Oh yeah, especially everyone's been talking creepy pasta. I probably got one of the creepiest ones that come from Pokemon. Very famous one. You're close on that right already. The music from the original Lavender Town.
oh, I heard about this.
Absolutely love this one.
Apparently, it was so spooky and so hypnotic to people that it made them not alive themselves anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's the? Yep, it was an urban legend that claimed that hundreds of Japanese children committed the. I don't know if we could say the S
act
word or
of
not.
unaliving
Yeah,
themselves.
the act of unaliving themselves through the music from Lavender Town. It is like one of the
Wow.
darkest ones that I've heard of.
This is the first time I'm ever hearing of that.
Ooh, and it's one of the most popular ones for the Pokemon franchise.
I guess I just didn't really look into urban legends for Pokemon. I was too busy playing and enjoying them.
No, same here.
Well,
I didn't know that one. I mean, I knew when I was young, I knew the Mew behind the truck one that didn't turn out to be real, but the
Mew
Lavender
underneath the
Town,
truck.
yep.
I knew about the 99 glitch. I knew about that.
And that one, and I have actually caught the number 9. You can't save the game if you catch him, otherwise it will corrupt your game. But I have gone and actually captured that one.
See, my thing is with the Lavender Town one.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the original, like the actual story of the students unaliving themselves, but there's also been a maybe more of a PG version to that rumor or to that urban legend, and it's more along the lines of a huge group of students became severely depressed
Ooh, I haven't heard
Not
that
to the
version.
point of unaliving themselves, but that they went through like a serious depression after, and it's because of the music, and
Yep.
like they had to all seek some sort of form of counseling. But again, it is a PG version of that rumor, because it's kind of hard to hear about children doing that.
Yes. That's
So
why I said.
I wouldn't be surprised that Belmont, you've never heard that before, because a lot of times things like that get buried.
And a lot of these urban legends tend not to get a lot of attention until you start doing the research, and it's like, oh, crap, Polybius, MK Ultra, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ermac, and
Like,
Fox not knowing Rain. I mean, it's a lot.
I knew about
Fox
the
never heard
Ermac
Prince
one
before.
that you mentioned earlier. I knew about that one.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Hardicus, you got an urban legend for us. Your second
Uh,
one.
yeah, another one that was kind of close to a game that I really enjoyed when I was younger, and actually fell for this one. So this has a spoiler for a very old game. So if you don't want to hear a spoiler for Final Fantasy VII, go ahead and skip ahead a couple minutes. I don't know if the remake money milking thing has repeated this event or not, but in the original Final Fantasy VII, one of the main characters, Eris, dies, and there was always a rumor that you could bring her back somehow.
Yep.
And every rumor or hint or trick that was ever put up, through the grapevine or in magazines back at the time, I followed all of them, tried to get her back, but was never able to, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that too. And Jason the 13th, I remember your dad, I think, say, or your oldest brother say, "Oh yeah, you got her back. It's a real thing." And I had to. Was it me that got in an argument with your dad or your oldest brother about that? And it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't see Aerith back. She never comes back.
I
Yes,
don't
I could have
remember.
sworn that I saw it. I'm pretty like, yeah, I did see it. Like, no, you didn't see it. It's not
It's
real.
Shazam all over again.
Yep,
Uh,
pretty much. And I can totally see that argument happening. I just don't remember which one of them it was that would have been arguing it.
so Hardicus, that reminds me of like the exact same thing in Final Fantasy VI with General Leo being revived or coming back, or playing as Bannon in the World of Ruin and like that kind of
I
stuff.
had not heard any of those.
Oh yeah. They're a whole thing. You go through a whole sequence of events and you bring them back to life and so on and so forth. Um, a lot of these in the JRPG scene. I'll briefly touch upon the Dragon Quest law, where supposedly tons of kids were skipping school whenever Dragon Quest games came out on the Famicom, our equivalent being the original NES. That they decided there was a law that Japan had created and had passed. That required these games be no longer released in the middle of the week, but instead release on Fridays. It's actually an urban legend that there was a law passed. Kids were skipping school. That was a whole thing. The developers got concerned, and they themselves were the ones that bumped the release dates to Fridays with the release of Dragon Quest 3. Like it's just such a cool thing to know that how high of an impact these games have. And maybe in America we're gonna have the Grand Theft Auto 6 law, because if that releases on a Tuesday,
The
you're gonna
GTA
have
6 holiday.
You know for a fact that school attendance rates it, that if Rockstar dares to release it on a weekday that's not Friday, come on now.
Even
Now.
if they release it on a Friday, it don't matter. The attendance rate will plummet even on a Friday, because everyone's gonna. If you pre-order games now and you do it digitally, the game pre-installs on your console. So when
That's true.
the time hits, so when 11 for us in Central Time, when 11 p.m. hits the night before release, I can start playing that game if it's already loaded.
That would be
So either
midnight
way.
for me where I'm East Coast time.
Yep.
Right. So
Not to mention these days you can also pay to play early, so
Yep.
that's another
The
little
collector's
scam.
edition for an
Yeah, little
additional
scam
60
they got
bucks.
going. Here, pay
yeah.
30 bucks more. You can play 3 days early.
Well, they're getting me with they get me on that with 2K25, but that's because of the wrestling stream. So I don't have to deal with going through and unlocking everything just to make the people's So Wizzo and I just say here's the extra 30. We'll just take all the unlocked stuff now.
Now, Jamie Owls, were you able to have a second urban legend for us?
I was kind of struggling trying to figure out, but I found one, and forgive me if this was already mentioned, but something about kill switch.
I
About
touched upon it, but I didn't go into detail. So you are more than welcome to go into detail.
you. Okay, so supposedly it's a video game that was developed only a certain amount of copies, 5,000 copies, I believe. And according to the legend, the game was unique in that it could only ever be played once. So if your character died, the game erased itself from the system and you can't play it at all again. So I don't know how true that is, but yeah, that's the only urban legend I could think of.
Well, let's hope Ubisoft and EA don't hear about that because they're going to start making that a permanent thing in all their games going forward.
Well, see now the thing is though is where they would shoot themselves in their foot. What Jamie Owls did touch upon the game deleting itself. What it also did though, it threw a code on your system that permanently blocked the game from ever being re-downloaded. So it's like getting it was a perma ban.
Dang, that is a Ubisoft EA thing. You weren't kidding, Hardicus. It was a game ahead of its time. Those two companies are taking notes on that stuff.
Now the true EA or Ubisoft thing would be them charging you again just to play it again.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Is like you die, it gets deleted. Oh, buy it again.
It's part of the experience.
Oh man. Before we call it a day, a night, Belmont, did you have any Castlevania related urban legends for us?
Well, you briefly touched upon it earlier. Simon apparently being in TMNT 2. I did not know that until I'd say about a year, maybe two ago. And as soon as I found out about that, I was like, what the heck? I had no idea that he was. And of course, me being me, I didn't look to see if it was real or not. I just saw it and I was like, I gotta go do that. And I went, tried it. Yeah, not a thing. Not a thing. Because, as soon as you bring something Castlevania related, I'm like, I gotta see it.
Oh man. Now one of the ones that is actually true, well, it's true, but it's not. There are a pair of boots in Symphony of the Night that Alucard can equip that make him taller.
Oh, yeah.
But it does not make him a baller.
Nope.
Or a shot collar.
Yeah, exactly.
No baller, no shot collar, but it does make him slightly taller.
And it literally unlocks in Castlevania Requiem Collection, Wish I Was a Baller trophy. Literally that.
Yep. When that popped,
Nice.
I was like, oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Because I got the platinum on that collection.
Oh, you had to. You had to.
Yeah, I did. Like, as soon as I got it, I was just like, I gotta do this. I'm trying to get all the trophies for all of them, but there's some trophies that glitched in one collection in particular that I'm trying to fix on that front. Advanced collection. There's one for getting all the furnitures in Harmony of Dissonance. I did it. I double and triple checked. I got them all. Trophy didn't pop.
Maybe you are the urban legend because you didn't get Yoshi to appear on Mario 64. Now these trophies aren't hitting for you now. You might be the urban legend, my friend.
I
That's
think
not
I
a
might
real
be,
achievement.
or I might have just had a borked version of Super
Ugh.
Mario 64 because I've
You
seen
blew into it one too
go
many
up to that
times.
rooftop and see Yoshi. I've seen it, and I'm like, what the heck? I didn't see him.
It's
I heard
it's like
there's
the
only
dad that
one
went out for milk.
I heard there's only one extremely haunted version of the game that had that achievement, so I think you're in trouble.
Oh boy.
The developer that coded it died, you see.
By way of Blackbeard the pirate.
Oh man. So
Sure, it
those
wasn't
were
by
the
David
urban.
Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones.
In his locker.
So those were our video game urban legends. Again, if you're watching or listening on YouTube, let us know of the urban legends that you guys have heard in the comments section below. Once again, huge thank you to the Mad Belmont for joining us. Mad, we appreciate you. We love you. We want to see you again. We'll definitely keep you posted on like future topics that maybe we think you'd be interested in. I thought of you because of that Simon Belmont thing with TMNT. So I'm like, I got to try and see if I can get Mad on. I gotta do it. I
Yeah,
gotta do it.
and that was gonna be my second one, but then you mentioned it, and I'm like, dang it.
Try
So
and steal your thunder.
parting shots.
Yes. I have a real big one, and it is the biggest urban legend in the history of gaming. From the N64, there is someone who, on a first playthrough of Ocarina of Time, beat the water temple without getting mad.
Oh, see now you know that's an urban legend.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
that's not real.
Sure.
You
Okay,
know
I
that's
nearly
not real.
wanted to cut the cord from my controller when I went in that dungeon.
God. Oh. Oh.
I wanted to smash my 64, and I realized, crap, I have Jason the 13th 64. I can't do that.
Yeah, I don't think Jason would have
Yeah, no,
appreciated that.
I
I
would
don't think
not
he
have
would have appreciated that.
Well, the reason I had his is because he had the 64 expansion pack, and
Yep.
I was trying to play Perfect Dark at the time. So he let me borrow
great game.
his, so he took
Yep.
mine.
Oh, fun. Gosh. But alrighty. Thank you again, guys, for joining. Again, thank you to the Mad Balmont for joining as well. Link to his YouTube channel will be in the description below or within the description if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or more. You can catch us next Tuesday with more fantastic and fun podcasts. Thank you again, of course, to our wonderful InfernoCast crew for always joining us. And we hope you have a spooky day. So it would have been a good cast for October.